The investigative judgment period is only the first portion of the judgment period. It is only the portion of the judgment that deals with the people of God, or those that are going to be going to heaven. And this is why in 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17, we read, "For the time is come that judgment must begin" where? Where does the judgment begin? At the house of God. But does the judgment end only with that which is examined in the house of God? Well, Peter continues and says, "And if it is first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God?" There are two groups of people, ultimately, that the plan of redemption separates humanity into. We've got the people of God, and unfortunately, the second group is the people who are against God. And in like manner, the judgment was also separated into two phases, if you will. We've got the investigative judgment, which is the period when the books were opened following the year 1844, when the high priest moved from the holy into the most holy place, and we looked at these things. And that period dealt with who? Well, the house of God, the individuals that are going to be in heaven. However, when we go to heaven, when Jesus comes the second time and we go to heaven, heaven is going to be, in a certain way, with respect to certain things, a surprise to us. And what do I mean by that? Well, I want to quote John Newton, whose hymn we're going to sing for the closing of this sermon, because it fits perfectly with the things that we are discussing. He said, "If I ever reach heaven, I expect to find three wonders there." The three wonders that John Newton talked about. First, to meet some I had not thought to see there. Right? We're going to go to heaven one day, and we're going to look around, and we might see an individual that we never thought could possibly ever make it to heaven. The second thing that he mentioned was that if he were to go to heaven, he said, to miss some I had thought to meet there. We're going to go to heaven one day, and we're going to look around and search for brother or sister so-and-so, and unfortunately might be at awe, wondering, why is brother or sister so-and-so not here? And the third beautiful thing that he says, the most beautiful of them all, and I hope this will be the greatest wonder for each and every one of us. And third, the greatest wonder of all, to find myself there. But he's very right. This is going to be an experience that we as individuals are going to go through. And this is why God, in his wisdom, did not just close up the books at the end of the close of probation, at the end of the investigative judgment, but rather, as we go to heaven, as Jesus comes back to claim us as his own and takes us into heaven, God is going to continue with the second phase of the judgment, where we're no longer examining the house of God anymore, but rather we're going to receive the answers to the very first two wonders or questions that were going through Newton's mind. Why so-and-so not here? And on the other hand, why so-and-so here? In Revelation 24, we read, "And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years." We know that during this millennium that is about to take place after we ascend unto heaven, the judgment will continue. And the judgment will continue so that we can receive the answers as to why so-and-so is there or so-and-so is not there. We already established that God's kingdom is transparent, and it has to be transparent so that we can serve Him out of love and not out of fear. And by Him opening the books to us, and by Him being transparent with us, we will know without a shadow of a doubt that His decisions with respect to so-and-so not being there or so-and-so being there are true. You know, we lived with a neighbor and we know that our neighbor was a drunk, let's say. We try to share the gospel with our neighbor, but our neighbor refused to listen to us. We move on with life, and then one day you go to heaven and you wonder, but Lord, this person, I talked to them, and they refuse to listen to me. They refuse to give up the sinful practices that were part of their life. And that's when Christ will come in and say, but you know what? You planted the seed. And then when you moved away, someone else came after you. And just before his death, your neighbor John actually realized the things that you had spoken to him, and he surrendered his heart to Jesus. And this is what happened with the thief on the cross. There are going to be other individuals like the thief on the cross. In like manner, unfortunately, Jesus will speak and say, "Turn away from me, you workers of iniquity." To many individuals who come to Him and say, "Lord, Lord, I did so much for you. I was in ministry my entire life. I dedicated all of my time to you." But unfortunately, even though we might have dedicated our time, it all boils down to where our heart was. The Pharisees were in ministry their entire life, but Jesus looked at them and said, "You know what? You've cleaned the outside, but inside, nothing happened. You never surrendered your heart to me." And the 1,000 years will clarify these things for all these heavenly citizens so that they can, in peace and trust, continue to reign with God throughout eternity.